Husband leaves wife devastating letter, but she has a priceless response. When it comes to being married, it's more than just walking down the aisle and meeting your loved one at the altar. It's a commitment you take for life, where you vow to be faithful, loving and understanding. However, not all marriages follow this pattern, and Laura soon learned it the hard way when her husband left her a devastating letter. What he didn't know was that she had some news that would totally ruin his life. Laura loved Jack a lot and did everything in her power to have a beautiful marriage. It wasn't all milk and honey, but it was good enough. Or so she had assumed until she saw the letter from Jack. His words were devastating, but her response was what made her story so viral. It seems that Jack wanted more from this union, learned Laura as she read the letter. Her heart sank as she read those words. The kitchen seemed to fade away when she realized that Jack wasn't exactly the person she had loved all these years. However, what Jack didn't know was that Laura had an ace up her sleeve. Jack and Laura met during her freshman years, and although her parents never liked him, she was certain it was true love. Now, thinking back, she realized she had been foolish. Jack had a bar when they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and as Laura came from work late night at the bar, she would see others glancing and whispering around her. There were other signs as well. They had been living together that time in Jack's one-bedroom apartment. The place was a mess, with no proper heating and a broken bathroom door. But they were young and in love. One night she saw Jack's name in the ladies' bathroom at the bar. "If you can't trust me, then we can't be together," said Jack back then. Now it all came back to her. As Laura thought of that fight, she realized that she wasn't exaggerating at all. He had proven it in that letter that she was now reading. And to think how fast she said yes when he got down on his knees 7 years ago. Now, their marriage was crumbling right in front of her. Laura didn't need a fancy wedding, so she bought a second-hand wedding dress for $50, her mom borrowed her shoes, and her younger sister did her hair and makeup. Then, they went to a small church, after which they had a reception organized by the family. She had never imagined her future any different, but still she was now reading a confession from Jack that completely changed her life. After getting married, Laura had quite a tough life, from struggling financially to staying up late at nights, working early hours and going through petty fights. She even took extra shifts to keep the whole thing afloat. Meanwhile, she had always had the same fights with Jack, who was never prepared to have kids or Laura to go back to college. He then started to change. Day after day, Jack seemed to change. Her mother told her that marriage is the most work you'll have to do in your life, but only God knew how much work she put into it. It was beginning to feel like an impossible task to keep up a happy face, although Jack was no longer committed. When they had family meetings, she kept herself busy while Jack talked with her sister Carla. Then, Laura thought she could revive the romance if they could go away somewhere for the weekend. Maybe they both needed a break from a stressful life. Laura decided to buy some lottery tickets and scratch cards. Perhaps if she was lucky enough, she could get a free vacation with the money she'd win. Then, that morning, she saw the letter on the kitchen counter. Here's what Jack wrote. When Laura began reading the letter, she couldn't believe what Jack wrote. The letter started, "Dear wife, I'm writing this to inform you that I am leaving our marriage. The truth is that I have been a good husband to you in our 7 years of marriage, and I have absolutely nothing from that," he added. How dared he, Laura thought. But this was just the beginning. "These last couple weeks have been really hard for me. Your boss told me that you left your job just today and that, well, that was the final straw," wrote Jack. Like any other loving partner, Jack could have discussed these issues before telling Laura that he was leaving her. But he had a lot more reasons, though, unfortunately, he didn't know these things about his wife. 2 weeks ago, when you came home after work, you didn't even notice that I had cooked your favorite dish, that I had a brand new haircut, or that I had a new pair of boxers," wrote Jack. Laura kept reading the letter, amazed at how much he could lie to her. "You just ate for a couple of minutes, you watched all of your soaps, and went straight to bed," he wrote. Jack complained that Laura didn't want to be intimate with me, and you don't show your love in any way. But she had her reasons, though. She was going to let him know all about it in a letter. We'd love to hear his reaction, but it will remain a mystery. Just wait to see what her letter said, and you'll agree that Laura got her sweet revenge after all. Either you don't love me anymore, or you are cheating on me. Whatever the case, I have to say it is over, and I'm leaving, he concluded, but not before adding a PS that he would totally regret. "PS, please, do not try to find me. Your sister Carla and I are moving to West Virginia together. Wish you the best and I hope you have a great life," wrote Jack. Now what was Laura's reaction? She put the letter down, opened a bottle of wine from the fridge, made a phone call, and took out her laptop to write a letter to Jack. Tears ran down her face. Then as she began writing back to Jack, she started laughing hysterically. What was going on? Here's her reply to Jack. "Dead ex-husband, believe me one thing, getting your letter really made my day," wrote Laura. She realized that this was the moment of truth where she has to change her life. Yes, it is true that we have been married for 7 years, but a good husband is completely different from what you have been, she wrote, and began explaining why she had ignored him these last 2 weeks. Yes, I watch TV shows, but I do it because the soaps drown out your non-stop griping and whining, but this doesn't seem to work, she wrote. And yes, I noticed your brand new haircut, but the first thing that I thought was that you look like a girl. And you know I was raised not to say anything in case I cannot say something nice, she added. Since Laura couldn't say anything nice about his haircut, she remained silent. For that reason, I decided not to speak about it or comment your haircut. But she then became suspicious. When you made my favorite dish, you must have gotten me mixed with my lovely sister, since I stopped consuming pork 7 years ago. When it comes to your new boxers, I didn't comment since you still had the $49.80 price tag on them, wrote Laura. You see, she had already been suspicious Jack was cheating on her, but she had no idea who that other woman was. That's when she pieced it all together. I hope that it was a coincidence that my lovely sister Carla had borrowed $50 from me the same day, explained Laura. Nonetheless, she still tried to make her marriage work. But even after all, I still cared about you and loved you, and I believed that we might make this work, said the wife, who prepared to break the mind-blowing news about a reason behind quitting the job. So, when I got Lotto for $15 million, what I did was quit my job and bought us 2 tickets to Hawaii, said Laura in her letter. But, by the time I got home you were already gone. I guess there is a reason for everything. I genuinely hope that you will have the life you always desired, added Laura in her letter, but not before saying a few more words. Moreover, according to my lawyer, the letter you sent me ensures that you won't get a dime from what I got now, said Laura. Jack must have really hated that timing. Then, Laura broke one more bomb on Jack, who had been completely clueless. It was about Carla, the woman he had ran away with behind Laura's back. So, there is nothing more to say but take care, signed, you beloved ex-wife, free and rich as hell. Wrote Laura. She was laughing by now as she penned her PS. I believe I haven't told you this, but my lovely sister Carla was actually born as Carl. I hope that is no issue for you, she concluded. As she finished her glass of wine, Laura was no longer mad. She hadn't expected to win the lottery or get a divorce, but everything turned out to be in her favor. Imagine winning $15 million and not splitting it with a cheating husband. Now that's a great way at getting your revenge. So Laura packed her bag and went to Hawaii on her own. Even though she had a suspicion Jack was cheating on her, Laura kept living with him, hoping she was wrong. But now that she found the truth, she knew he wasn't worth her time anymore. Now Laura was a happy, filthy rich single, enjoying her well-deserved holiday in Hawaii. Laura may have had quite some dark moments, but she finally had her break. Laura's 7 years next to an unfaithful man were now a thing of the past, and she wouldn't let the disappointment to break her. As she was in the taxi towards the airport, Laura was now feeling relieved and happy. She had a chance at a new beginning, and this new life began with a holiday in paradise.